Okay. Actually, family, let me get a test real quick. Let me get some sevens in the chat if you guys could hear me. What's going on? Good evening. Hope everybody's doing well. Throw those sevens in the chat. Okay, cool. I honestly, guys, for a second here, I thought I had disconnected my computer from Wi-Fi. I thought I messed everything up, so good to know we back. And it didn't actually impact everything. But what's going on? Hope everyone is well. All right, let me know how you guys are feeling in the chat. All right, how is everyone feeling tonight? I'm feeling great. Ready to get this trading week started. Let me just do one thing for y'all real quick. There we go. Okay. Let's see who we got on the call tonight. What's going on? I see we got Tammy in the building. We got Michael. We got Free Zone Lou. What's going on? Charleston in the building. We got Colombo, Sri Lanka as always. Jose, what's going on? Obscuro. Check gold first. Yeah, we'll get into it, bro. As always, we will lead with the fundamentals. But I definitely got you when we get to the charts, my man. Glamorous Princess, what's going on? Keanu, AD. We got Robert King Lions in the house. Brandon Mitchell, Kyle. Who else we got in the building? I see we got Nico, we got Devin. I like this lo-fi. I got you with the link, my guy. You already know, I'll give you the whole channel. They got a lot of fire in here. But yeah, you guys know we started off with that lo-fi vibes. Erwin feeling blessed in the chat. Nat, what's going on? Nico, my boy. Good to see you. Hope all is well out there. Diomani, Eric, Dante. Cool. Hope you guys are all doing well. I'm feeling blessed. I'm ready to get this week started. I see we got the boys in the chat too. Kyle, Abel, what's going on, man? If you guys want to unmute and say what's up to the live stream, you guys are good.
Yo, what's going on, family? Hope you guys are having a blessed Sunday. Man, I'm excited for this week. I mean, little birdie told me that something huge is launching. Maybe possibly the Prophet Society launch on Friday. So, guys, I'm excited for this week. Especially, we're going to kill this week in the markets and give you guys full access to the Prophet Society towards the end of the week. So, I'm amped. I don't know about you guys.
That's a fact, my boy. Let me get some threes in the chat if you guys already reserved your spots for Friday's webinar. And if you guys have not done that yet, make sure you guys go and do that. So just pop on over to prophetsociety.co/launch here. I even make this easy for you guys and drop the link, spam that in the link for you guys. But if you guys are not on Friday's webinar, Ray and Abel will be absolutely throwing down for you guys, giving you guys a whole bunch of sauce on really how to hit that six-figure trader, through a couple different avenues, right? Just giving you guys a bunch of mistakes to avoid, talking about leveraging other people's money, and then giving you guys some sauce on the charts. So Ray and Abel will be thrown down on Friday. There's less than 100 seats. Just go reserve your spot, and you guys will get all the emails and information on that. Again, January 20th at 7. So there's I see a lot of threes in the chat, so I definitely expect you guys to be kind of packed out. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing fills out by probably the end of today or tomorrow. My family, let's jump into some of the upcoming fundamental events here. Let me actually turn down this music as well, just a little bit more. Actually, Abel, my guy, before I even jump into the fundamentals, you want to say anything?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm just excited for this up and coming week. I know it's going to be a great week for a lot of us on this call, and I'm really just excited for the launch, man. It's literally been probably 3, 4, 5 months in the making, and I'm excited that it's finally here, and we're able to, actually go ahead and launch this thing. And hopefully, you guys are excited. I know I'm extremely, extremely excited for it, and I'm prepared to go ahead and really give you guys even more value than ever before. All right, so yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Yes, sir. And I got you with that music turned off. But yeah, guys, we are very excited. I can't wait for Friday. Honestly, months of hard work. Finally able to give that out to you guys. So we're definitely excited. Make sure you guys reserve that spot. They got the calendar on there. Yeah, we got the calendar, my guy. But so let's take a look at this actually. As a lot of you in the U.S. know, tomorrow is going to be a bank holiday. Tomorrow is going to be Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So banks stock market will be closed. I would probably expect not much from tomorrow at all. There's not really much other, high impact news. There is a bunch of like China data, which could be a little bit important, but again, for as far as tomorrow goes, I would just say take the day off, enjoy the day, do whatever you want to do tomorrow. Going into Tuesday, volatility should really pick up because there actually is some pretty important data, specifically these inflation rate numbers coming out of different areas of the Eurozone. So we got Germany. I think we also have, yeah, there's Italy in here. There's going to be jobs numbers for the pound. So there's going to be a lot of Eurozone data coming out Tuesday morning. We also have inflation rates for the CAD, same day. We have interest rate decisions from the yen. So there's going to be a lot of pent up. Plus, we have some Fed members speaking too. We got the Fed Williams speech. So there's going to be a lot of pent up volume from the markets being closed tomorrow into all of this data release for Tuesday. So I would definitely sit at your charts Monday night, start looking at areas of liquidity, stuff like that. Start looking for, your market structure zones, your supply, your demand zones, because Tuesday is going to be a pretty wild day across the board, I believe. Now, out of all of this news, obviously there's a lot of really important stuff here, but you guys know I'm going to be very interested to see what the Bank of Japan is doing, just personally, right? Everybody's going to, some of you guys that trade the CAD, I'm sure Kyle's going to care about this a lot more. But for me, this yen news is going to be kind of where I'll be looking at. Now, we're still forecasted for rates to come out in this negative territory. But you guys know we are getting very, very close to the actual pivots. This is not even really rumor anymore as much as it is fact. But we're also getting the quarterly outlook report, so I'm going to be interested to see what the yen wants to do off of this news. The market has been pricing in, again, the pivot from the Bank of Japan, looking to go away from negative rates and to begin to actually increase these, leave this negative territory, start to go positive, much like every other central bank has been doing, right? Just like the Federal Reserve has been doing for what's now, multiple releases, actually like a year, if not more than a year worth of releases. The ECB getting more aggressive. So this would be the last currency to leave negative. And as you guys know, we've been looking at shorts in a lot of yen pairs, and I will continue to look at shorts. So any opportunity I can get in yen pairs to continue to go short, especially if this comes out still negative and for some reason stuff, or rallies, because we know all yen pairs are minor pairs. So, GBP, JPY, if it goes up, we're going to continue to look for short positions. So yeah, big news for the yen traders on Tuesday. Wednesday continues the same trend, right? A lot of inflation numbers out of the pound. Inflation rate for just the Eurozone in general, year over year, final. What do we have? PPI out of the US dollar. Yeah, we got a news packed week for sure. So we got PPI coming out for the USD, expected to come in negative. this is going to be an interesting result, to be honest with you. Coming in negative. Is this the first time we're coming in negative PPI? No. Okay. Never mind. Still good. Still going to be good to see negative. I was just curious if that was the first time. I couldn't recall. Again, more yen news at the end of Wednesday. Unemployment numbers out of Australia. Yeah, this is looking like a nice fundamental week. Moving into Thursday. Again, there's other interest rate decisions. This is not going to sway too many things. We do have ECB monetary policy for meeting accounts. Some medium-term news. Let's see what else we have. That might be a wrap-up of the week for Thursday, Friday. Yes, and all this data at the end of Friday. Again, this is all medium impact stuff. I consider this like soft data. Like, our home sales important? Yeah, but it's a very minor part of the pie. You know, so not as important as things like CPI and jobs numbers, but still more or less up there. Yeah, so that kind of gives my thoughts on the news. I don't know if Abel has any specific news events or updates he wants to give you his input on, or even Kyle, but there is a lot of news this week, so I don't know if you guys have any opinions on some of this stuff. For me, though, again, it's going to be this, the Bank of Japan interest rate. I'm interested between this and the quarterly outlook report, and that's going to be where my focus is. But yeah, we should have a pretty
I'm with you on
week.
that. I'm with you on that as well, bro. It's going to be an extremely volatile week, family. But as professional traders, like, volatility is what we truly want. You know, we just also got to make sure that we're managing our risk correctly, and we're not going crazy, because we know it's going to be a super volatile week. But I'm excited. I don't know why. I feel like this week is going to be one of those absolute banger of weeks. Like, I don't know. I just feel it in my blood that a lot of y'all is going to really have probably your best week that you guys ever had so far. I don't know. I feel it. So I'm manifesting it all for everybody.
No, that's a good thing to manifest. All right. So yeah, I don't know if there's any questions on news, guys. If there are, throw them in chat. I do want to get into some charts. So let's just pop on over to TradingView here, because there is going to be a lot of activity this week. So again, we're going to look at these with the again, the idea that the markets are going to be closed tomorrow. Things are going to be very slow. With that, you know, I'm just going to expect the market to continue with the same kind of like degeneracy that it's been doing, which has been this, you know, dollar sell-off, right? So I'm not really going to be looking to do anything. I'm just going to look to, you know, me personally continue to hold some positions that I'm in against the dollar. But with this much news, and you guys can kind of see the idea that we had, you know, a couple weeks ago, you know, will this demand ultimately hold, and will we get this pullback? Again, this is looking less and less likely, so I'm actually just going to remove that for now and see what we come up with. We did grab this liquidity. We might as well just mark this off, again, just to signify that we've taken it. So really the question for me on the DXY, before we get into individual pairs, is just going to be like, do we take out this low this week? And if we do, what kind of reaction is going to come off this, right? Is this pair going to just completely keep slicing through areas, and we're just going to continue to fall? Or are we going to finally maybe get some peak, you know, peak sell-off? And that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to like immediately go bullish, but you know, what we're kind of looking at, like something like this, right? Where you kind of pierce an area and you just kind of fade off back to the upside. And basically just fall into a broader range, right? Like, is there just going to be more activity where we're not really trending anymore, but, you know, starting to work out the next new cycle? So that's what I'm really eyeing on the dollar. Because as you guys know, last week, you know, the dollar was on a tear, gold closing up strong in the 1920s, which we're going to look at in a second. EU remains very strong. So the dollar sell-off has been very real. And for me, again, the question is going to be just what kind of reaction do we get off of this? And I'm not going to sit here and try to predict it. You know, I could say all sorts of things. I could say what I want to see. I could say I want something like this. You know, this might even push down and try to fill this wick, right? There's a whole whirlwind of possibilities of what happens here. But I'm going to just be looking at the volume that comes into the market, you know, when we do this. And from there, I'll start to make some assumptions. Remember, it's a big news week. There's a lot of data coming out. So for me, I'm just going to use this week as like a guide to my next like 4 weeks, right? Is the data that comes out this week going to support continued sell off in the dollar, or is it going to be something that maybe, you know, the bigger money uses kind of like a reason to begin to exit some of these shorts that, you know, a lot of us have been milking for, you know, the past couple of weeks and months. If I take a look at gold, again, for me, guys, it's the same thing. This is what we said we were looking at last week. You know, now that we're up in these zones, it's just a matter of what kind of reaction do we get, right? Do we get this reaction where, yeah, we kind of do formulate a top and come back for a deeper pullback? Or are we going to just continue parabolic, right? This is not an environment that I'm looking to trade in, right? This is, you know, something I'm going to probably sit on the sidelines, look at the news. I'll probably pay a lot of attention to GJ, as I said already. But for a lot of these dollar pairs, guys, like playing up inside of this area, unless I start to get some confirmations, it's going to be tough to, you know, give like an actual roadmap. So that's why I'm continuing with my old biases. Again, gold filling out a lot of these wicks, like, again, a lot of the supply being taken. You know, do we fall from here? Yeah, I mean, you could build the case for it, but really, even on like lower time frames, you don't have much confirmation, no structure. There's nothing to base anything off of here. So it's going to be interesting to see what we get this week. But again, I will be looking mostly for confirmations to kind of fade this overall trend. I think a lot of this stuff is getting overextended. It's getting into areas that, you know, you're filling inefficiencies for smart money concept traders. You know, for people that trade the way I do, like this continuation block is like something that's, you know, of interest. But I'm not going to be looking to buy up here. Like it's going to be transparent with you guys. I think, you know, a lot of people in the call are going to agree. Like this is not an area that I'm interested in just kind of chasing stuff. The only thing else I have on my radar is this GJ, right? Because of the news, right? And this is something that we were trading last week, and I want to give everybody kind of updates on this. Last week we did take shorts early in the week. It was basically painful all week long until, you know, it was finally ready to move. And we currently are sitting up about 400 or so pips on this. Again, because I do expect the Bank of Japan to potentially, you know, not pivot this time, but give us more insight to when they will pivot. I want to remain short on this. So if you're not in this trade, if you're looking to add on to this trade, or just kind of, you know, trying to set up your expectations of what the pullback might look like as those interest rates come out in 2 days, I would fully expect, you know, all of like this kind of choppy redistribution type range to get wiped. Right, so if you're in shorts on this, immediately, like, you should be expecting pullbacks to above this area. Right, I would be looking at, like, pretty much right up in this area for a price to be pulling back to, especially if they don't leave negative rate territory. Because all of this move that we got last week, this is, again, this is when we talk about rumors versus fundamental events, and if you're new, you're going to hear me talk about this a lot. But when we talk about rumors and fundamental events, right, we know that interest rates for this pair come out on Tuesday. Right, we talk about this all the time. The bigger money, the smarter money, the people that are playing that fundamental event typically are not playing it on the Tuesday, right? And they weren't going to play it on Monday, or they're not going to play it tomorrow because it's a bank holiday, right? They can't play it on Sunday. They can't play it on Saturday. So it makes sense to play it on Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, which is basically all of this action. So the rumor traders, and you can find articles that support this, right? This is what the explanation for the sell-off is that people are, you know, leaning towards the Bank of Japan potentially, you know, giving signs of leaving those negative rates. They played that all last week. And when the news comes out that they're not leaving rates yet, right, because it's still going to probably come out as negative. If not, they're going to shock the market. When that news hits, a lot of these late sellers, or the people, even like myself, that are, you know, short from up here, they may begin to like cover. So all of this late, like really kind of just redistribution type, you know, very small kind of action moves, this is all going to get wiped. So my play on this is going to be something like this, you know, maybe we even push up a little higher, but then we'll continue to look at the sell-off. And this has to all happen around Tuesday, Wednesday. So don't be surprised again when that rate decision comes out. When it comes out negative, you should expect price to already be trading up here or end up here after that news, and then we'll spill over, and hopefully the rumor traders will continue to play, and we will continue to target below this 150 area. So this is the only trade I really see that's worth monitoring this week, right? I'm gonna just be honest with you guys. I don't really see anything else. The dollar pairs I don't want to touch because I think the dollar has some decisions to make, whereas the decisions for this, for me, are more or less already made. So that's gonna be like really my one trade this week. You guys will probably see me execute on this live in the mornings on either like Tuesday or Wednesday. Probably look something like this. Again, another opportunity for us to grab, you know, a 1 to 10 on GJ. So let's see what we have in chats now that I've went over my pairs, and I'll see what some of these other boys have to go over. Friday you go over pricing and stuff. Yeah, so Friday is going to be an hour and a half to maybe even 2 hours of just straight value and sauce. And then we will get into all the offerings at Profit Society from a free to paid level, which, as you guys know, these sessions have been going on for months now for free, and stuff like that will continue for you guys. Brother A with the love. Let's see. Big news week for real. Yes, a lot of big news this week. So are you saying to keep holding that trade? Yeah, if you are in GJ, if you were in this trade from last week, yeah, absolutely keep holding this trade. If you haven't already booked partials, you probably should have. If not, you know, start to do that, you know, as soon as you can. I mean, if you can think you can get better pricing, try for it. But if not, I would just take it now because, again, we're still up, you know, on average like 400 pips. You might as well just not fight over the other like 30, 40. But yeah, I would partial out, close 30 to 50% of your position, hold the rest at break even. And then if you do get this pullback, whatever you close down here, you can try to re-add again once we have those confirmations that, you know, the re-entry is good. So basically at this point in the market right here, you can try to add your 30% back so you can continue to get paid. And then the margin between where you closed and here is just extra profit. That's how I personally would play that. Or close and then re-enter. I mean, so the guys, how you manage the position is ultimately really up to you. You could close and re-enter if that's your style. For me, I just close partials and I always hold that remaining position, right? So think about it like this. If I zoom out on my chart, right, there's multiple entries that I have. I still have my sells from up here at 169. Have I partialed out of them? Yeah, I've taken half of the position, so I'm not earning as much as I would have if I just held. But again, I've exited this on like breaches here, and then I add more here when it's just ready to go. That just allows me to hold this, you know, with confidence because I've already paid myself. So the rest of it is what it is. So I mean, if your style is to, you know, close here and just close everything and then try to grab the re-entry, that's great. You know, it's all pendant to what your plan is. But my plan is I'm always holding, you know, 50 to 20% of my position, usually between 20 and 50%. So again, the management style is really up to you. Your account balances, your goals. We're all going to be different there. Let's see. The more gold play around the 1920, the less likely we will see a retracement. Yeah, it could just keep reaccumulating and going up. I mean, you never underestimate something's ability to continuously like sub-cycle out, to continuously reaccumulate, and to continuously push up. Not everything has to have a major pullback. There are times where the market, again, is trading in a environment where it's just sub-cycle after sub-cycle after sub-cycle, and you never get like a distribution. You never really get a good pullback. And some would argue that's the case on gold. Is like, I mean, this thing really like hasn't pulled back to any degree. You know, this was like the last major pullback, and then, you know, like, I mean, this is pretty harsh, but it gets absorbed and erased in the same day, so it's like, it doesn't even really matter. Yeah, but don't underestimate something's ability to do that over and over. What time frame? I've been looking at like 4 hours in dailies. Cool. Abel, Kyle, you guys have any charts you guys want to pull up? That's all I have. I mean, they want us to look at Nasdaq, but my opinion on Nasdaq is the same as the dollar. Like, you can't really do anything with it up here, and we never really got that pullback.
No, for sure. You know, I am looking at USD CAD very bearishly. It does coincide with our dollar bias, so it only makes sense that I'm bullish Nasdaq for now. Um, I feel like
Well, pull
that
up your
trade that you
USD
got
CAD.
on this
Let me see your USD CAD, my guy.
that
Let's
trade
see
you
what
got
you
on the
got on
screen
that.
is very clean though. So whoever caught that with you, I know they're up a bag. I know that shit is.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's see. Who let's get some dollar signs in the chat if you guys are still holding this Nasdaq buy with me. This would have been about 2 weeks ago at this point, right? Yeah, about 10 days, about 9, 10 days. We took this on like a Friday.
Them Friday trades be hitting, man. St.
Yeah, I mean
Jude's
that
still in
Friday
USD
trade hit.
CAD. Okay.
Here, let me make you co-host so you can share out.
Michael Bowman still in the trade. But,
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say Michael better be in it. There's a few people that better still be in it. I don't know if everybody's on the call, but I know the people that should be. Michael is one of them. I think Eric's another one of them. Okay, we got a few people.
Basically,
Hold on.
Okay.
All right, now you're good.
So guys, on USD CAD, for all of you guys that are new to the stream, I do just kind of want to understand. I know we got like 150 people on, so I know a lot of you guys are definitely new. If you guys are new, first things first, welcome to the Profit Society live stream channel. We've been doing this now for the past couple of months for free. It's hosted by me, myself, Kyle Hustles. Also, Mr. Skaggs was just speaking at BY Skag. And also we got Mr. Sauce, none other than Mr. Sauce, Abel Melendez himself, gonna hop on right after me and give his analysis on the market. But at the end of the day, we've just been calling these big swing moves in the market. And we really just want to provide for you guys. So if you guys really appreciate, or if you guys have been tapped in with us for a long time, especially from when we just started doing these streams, definitely show us some love with a like on the YouTube video. It's free, and it will help us go ahead and impact more lives. But with that being said, like pretty much we have been going over, we've been bearish dollar ever since we started trading into this little hidden supply zone right over here. And like Skaggs was saying, there's kind of been no retracement given. And at the end of the day, there really doesn't have to be one given. I always talk about the rule. I like to call it 80-20 rule, right? And this might save a lot of you guys trading this week that might be trying to catch falling knives, reversals. Like, there are a rule that I go over a lot called the 80-20 rule, and it basically goes over that 80% of the times the market is going to give you a continuation, and 20% of the time it's going to give you a reversal, right? So you really want to look at continuations over reversals, right? And at the end of the day, follow the momentum of the market, right? Once we had evidence that to keep going bullish dollar, then we're going to keep following that until it fails us. Now that we've broken structure, I want you guys to understand, what our structural rules, making higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and we failed to break this high, and then we broke this major higher low structure. That is now showing us that we need to continue in the direction of a bearish dollar. Now, would I would like to have seen a retracement? Yes. And can we still get this retracement to come back up and fill out some of this inefficiency before we go ahead and start trading possibly down here? That's a possibility, right? That's definitely a possibility. But for now, again, we're not gonna hope for a reversal. We're not gonna hope for a bullish reaction. The market is showing us that it clearly doesn't care and it clearly wants to continue in the direction that it's at, especially after this weekly bearish engulfing candle, right? Start looking at the major time frames, the bigger time frames, and their candle closures, right? Candle closures mean a lot in the market, right? Not just the active candle of where it's at. I'm talking about the actual closure of the candles, right? So for example, over here was kind of like the bottom of the price cycle of when we had this big dollar bullishness starting from about June of 2021, and we kind of topped around the end of last year. So around the end of last year is when we started getting that top. And as you guys can see, look at the candle closures on these trades. Like for example, right here, pay attention and realize how this is a bullish engulfing. And this right here would have given you major confirmation to look bullish for the next couple of months on the dollar. Now over here, now that we're seeing these reversal signals, now that we're seeing potential imbalance fill, potential mitigation right here, and we get that clean reaction from that level, that is giving us a good sign that once you saw a candle closure like this, I'll go ahead and clear my chart so it's a little bit more clear for you guys. But once you guys saw that reaction off of this level, especially after this candle closed like this, right? Obviously, maybe a little bit up here could have been a lot more skepticism, could have been a lot more fear in your mind. But after seeing a candle closure like that, completely wiping out about 3 months of trading, each candle on the monthly time frame is 3 months. So seeing 3 months, 3 months of trading get wiped out in 1 month, if that doesn't tell you guys momentum has shifted, I don't know what else will. So again, I really don't see any buying here. Maybe down here you could start looking for stuff, but again, why would we wait on that? Why would we bank on that when we can just bank on the continuation? Now, we are in an interesting spot. We are just going straight down from where we're at the present moment. So if you were to ask me for a setup on this, I would tell you guys to hold off until later on this week and possibly wait for these lows to continue, being taken. And the next possible area I would look to see price come up to is possibly something like this, right? It looks a little bit far-fetched. A lot of you guys are like, man, won't this thing pop up and, give us a break of structure and do something like that? That's what I'm hoping for because we can get a lot more short entries up here. I do want to see that happen, but we cannot assume that that's going to happen. We cannot hope for things like that to happen. We have to learn how to trade what you see, not what you don't see. I'm going to type that out so you guys can put that in your notes. Because the thing is, a lot of you guys may want to see the bullish dollar. A lot of you guys may want to see this. But if we're not seeing it yet, if we don't actually get a break of this high, then we cannot assume bullishness. We cannot assume anything. We have to continue looking in the direction that it's continuing to go to. And again, with this inefficiency here, all this price action up here is very efficient on the 1 hour. So this 4 hour retracement will not, it's not something I'm going to play until we get a clear break of structure. So for now, I can see this thing continuing, breaking some more lows and then coming back up to the supply and demand and efficiency candle and, possibly playing something like that later on this week. And, at the end of the day, how does that correlate to our currency pairs? For you guys that are a little bit brand new, I'll go over it again. For any pairs that start with USD and end with XXX, whatever it is, USD CAD, USD CHF, whatever pairs that you might be trading that begin with USD, understand when the dollar goes up, then USD pairs will go up as well. When the dollar goes down, then we can expect these pairs to go down as well. So they have a direct correlation. Now, when pairs that end with the USD, when we see the dollar go down, we actually would like to see these pairs go up, right? We call this an indirect relationship. So that's how you guys can start using the dollar in your analysis today, right? The dollar is, the biggest tool that you guys need to be looking at, especially if you're trading dollar pairs. Don't just go based off of what you see on the chart. Start using the dollar currency index today and understand that any pairs with USD at the beginning have a direct correlation, heavy direct correlation to this index. Now, again, the opposite pairs that end with USD, there's an indirect relationship. So, knowing that we've been bearish, and even though there has been entries given and just continuation after continuation in the market, that doesn't mean that there aren't multiple setups happening on these dollar pairs. Now with EU, we've been bullish on this thing for a minute, but if I'm going to be honest, it has not given me extra re-entries like I've been wanting it, right? Now, this was something that's clean. We did catch this trade a little bit earlier on, pretty much towards the end of last year. Now, there are some continuation opportunities like this. You could have played something like this. And again, continuations over reversals, you would have got that. But again, I'll just be honest. I didn't catch this, but the ideology does present itself as to why this did play out. Again, I would just play that until we see a break of structure. If we do see a break of structure, I can see something like this happening. I could definitely see something like that happening. I'm not going to bet against the bearish dollar. So I could definitely see something like this panning out, depending on what news decides to give us this week. Like Skag said, there is a lot of stuff, a lot of data that needs to come out to help us base our decision. We are going live Tuesdays through Thursdays. So if you guys have just been hopping on our weekly calls, go ahead and hit a subscribe on this channel. It's free to subscribe. Hit the notification bell. You'll get notifications whenever we go live. And we go live Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 8 a.m. Eastern to trade New York live with you guys. So we'll give you guys updates on the currency pairs as they go. But, to be honest, this could be something that happens earlier on towards the week. And then, for a potential swing entry, I do like this zone for when we start retracing and giving us something as such. Now with GU, again, I pretty much have the same thing. This thing is trading at weekly highs, even as of the last week. So, would I look to go bullish right now? Not really. Again, I really prefer this second entry on EU. I feel like playing something like this is a little bit more degenerately. But, obviously, your trading is your trading. I'm here to just give you two outlooks, two potential perceptions of the market that I can see happening. And it's up to you to plan your trade as such. I can give you guys the setup, but, at the end of the day, your trading plan is your trading plan. I do see some potential selling off coming into GU, possibly when we, are tapping into this candle right here. I do see, us getting a reaction right here, but not sure if something like that would hold. Because again, remember the ideology, continuations over reversals. This was the best possible entry we could have gotten GU to ride this thing up. Now, if I was in GU buys, I would have no problem hedging on this sell right here. But if you're not already in buys and you're not already in the direction of the long-term trend, don't just start stabbing the market looking for a reversal because you have no hedge. That's why Skaggs talks about holding partials of your entries. And I do the same thing. I'm still in a USD CAD trade from Friday that I will go over with you guys. And I'm gonna be honest, it was a big fear of mine for a long time of holding trades over the weekend. Drop a one in the chat if you feel like you're scared to hold trades over the weekend, but you feel like it would help your trading a lot if you get over that. Right? I feel like that's a majority of people. Like you have good trades, but sometimes for some reason we have this weird like fear that we shouldn't hold our trades over the weekend because they're just gonna get ruined. But it's like not true though, because you holding on to that fear would have, pretty much have you missing out on a lot of these swing positions that we're still currently in. So at the end of the day, anybody that caught this trade last week and is holding it over the weekend is sitting real pretty right now. They're probably looking to hedge this sell at risk free because they still have profit remaining from their buys. So that's really the type of positions I like to put myself in the market so I can really, mitigate losses and maximize wins. Now, how that does correlate to USD CAD, again, with our bearish dollar analysis, I mean, you guys can just kind of see just based off of structure. Now, even if you didn't even look at the DXY, you can clearly see off of structure that, we have been making uptrend structure and it's been holding. And, at this point, seeing this higher low getting took and seeing this happen, I mean, shout out to my boy Jude. He's always sniping USD CAD with me. We even caught sells all the way up here. But knowing how fast this sell happened, inefficiency was lying in the market. This is a point in the market inefficiency, right? Where, there has been no buying or selling. There's just imbalance in the market. And once we came up to fill this inefficiency right here and we got this reaction, we also started distributing, right? Shout out to you guys that, trade Wyckoff, use the volume indicator. At the end of the day, once we started seeing this divergence, this is your spring right here. I was playing this as a spring. And, to be honest, I want you guys to take a look at the reaction off of the spring and also take a look at the reaction off of the 50% of the range. I would say I would give this the 50% of the range right here. 50% of the range is also a great support and resistance level for your distribution schematics. And, to be honest, you could have caught an entry at the top, like I said, but I always like to wait for the spring to set in and we start trading in more of that phase D environment over here. And, I want to just give you guys a outlook as to why I took this trade up here as well. This was an NFP trade that I took over here. This is kind of like that Hezi crossover that Ray teaches, right? We had our distribution starting to play out and we did break below this level, but we also left inefficiency right here in the market here as well. Now, I didn't want to short right here because, at the end of the day, we always like to see the market take liquidity, take out traders, and then mitigate price. One of the big confirmations, one of the best candles you can play, the candle that takes out traders and rebalances price. Those are the most highest accurate of candles. Now, some could have argued right here that this was a possible institutional candle. And I'd be lying if I said that I didn't play that with a low risk. But it wasn't the most highest probable candle because this candle, you can say that it probably took out traders, maybe people that are playing this. You could say that it probably took out traders, but it doesn't rebalance price. So there was no imbalance up here. There was nothing that needed to be balanced back into the market. But if you know where the inefficiencies, if you know where the market needs to rebalance, then you can always play as such. So this candle right here, I can confidently say that it took out traders anybody that was trading this double top, this liquidity, just trying to catch the first initial entry, the top, and then the market just spikes up, stops them out, and then starts selling off. This is the candle that the banks were hiding in. This was the last up candle before this major down move that we received. So also, I want you guys to understand time. Time plays a lot in price as well. So even though it was over here, it wasn't even 8 o'clock yet. Like, anybody that was probably playing this, like it was like maybe like, what was the time? It was maybe like 6 o'clock when we were over here. So I was not even up to even play this, so it was even better. So when I woke up at 8 a.m. and we were just playing the same price level over here, that was my time and price confirmation as well. So I got this entry, snagged it over here, and we are still floating in that. I also took a re-entry on Friday. So this was last NFP, and then I don't know why, but like for some reason USD CAD really likes Fridays, right? Now, I don't know if that's just a theory. I don't know if that's just like a thing. Obviously don't like quote me on this and don't like over leverage or change your trading because of this. But I just feel like the Friday is really something that USD CAD takes into consideration, and I guess it just waits to make their moves on Friday. So, this is another instance of a candle that takes out traders and rebalances price. As you guys can see, this liquidity was generating here for about 3 days. 3 days we were generating liquidity. Obviously people that saw this obvious move to the downside want to catch their piece of the pie as well. All the retail traders are playing this retest right here, wanting to catch that break and retest trade. Shout out to all those support and retest, those support and resistance break and retest traders, right? You know that we don't trade that over here, right? We look at the institutional concepts of the market, and seeing this and seeing that we tap this level 2-3 times, a lot of people, just the support and resistance traders, say that the more it taps a level, the stronger that level is. But us as institutional traders, I like to think of the opposite. I like to observe the masses and do the opposite. And once I see price touching and revisiting a level 2 or three more times, like that actually makes a level weaker for me, because it's just showing that it's generating liquidity and it's enticing traders to sell. And once I see things like that, I wait for that liquidity grab. Now, some of you guys could have grabbed a trade off of this, but I have no idea how, because, there was really nothing to play off of. It was kind of just a liquidity grab for news. This was the FOMC, I believe. No, this was CPI. This was CPI, not FOMC. Sorry about that. So for you guys that were trading the CPI, we came out with an initial reaction bullishness, but after the initial reaction, we pretty much cleared liquidity off of the initial reaction, spiked up, cleared all the equal highs. So, a lot of people were probably looking buy side. A lot of people were probably stopped out after this sell and then starting to buy. That's what these banks like to do. They like to stop out all of your trades for the sell, and then they probably got you looking at the buy side. And this was just a trap. After the initial reaction, cleared liquidity, we created new lows. This is now structure in our favor. We're making 1 hour structure. We came up, mitigated off of this candle. This right here was, again, a candle that takes out traders, which it clearly did, and it's rebalancing price. It's coming to take this inefficiency right here. These are my final targets on USD CAD. Honestly, guys, I'm not going to be on here for too long. This is kind of like the last pair I have. Then I'm going to give it over to none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Sauce, Abel Melendez. But, this right here is kind of weak to me. So I'm not going to be looking for any bullishness near that. Going off a schematic like that, I really feel like we're just going to continue down, break these lows, and I wouldn't even be looking at any bullishness or looking for any bullish setup until we come down to go ahead and fill this inefficiency that we left in the market. This area of imbalance where there was no buying or nor selling, right? You see how all price here was, buying up and then retesting, going ahead and filling in any inefficiencies or any imbalances that we left. But this right here was clearly left for a reason. After we do clear these lows, I do like to see the market come down to inefficient price action so we can start making some more efficient price action. And, I would love to see maybe a bullish reaction from there. And then we can possibly get our retracement. But, with that being said, again, just look to target this region over here on USD CAD, trading that direction going into this week. And we will update you guys on the Tuesday 8 a.m. session if there is any other possible reentries. But yeah, the candle that takes out traders and rebalances price. Now, is there any questions for any of you guys in this call? I will go ahead and check the chat right now. Let me go ahead and see what's good.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna need everybody that is watching right now that just got value to drop a 333 in the chat, because if you if you didn't just get value out of what Kyle was presenting, then you might have been half asleep. Which
yeah, I definitely
I'm gonna just be honest with y'all.
I went on a rant.
Saucy. We might have to get a little nickname for Kyle. No cap. And I'm gonna leave it up to chat to make it too.
Yeah, I did go on a little lesson tangent there, but
I love it.
I hope
Look at
you
all
guys
them
got some
threes.
value.
I love to see it. Shout out to all y'all that actually paying attention though, for real. Hopefully you guys come with your notes, man. Like when we're talking about the fundamentals, when we're like breaking down charts like this, like definitely shout out Kyle, man. Love to see it.
Let me go ahead and check the chat real quick. Sheesh. Okay, I see you guys. Kyle, what's your mind frame when you look at entry? My mind frame when I look at entry, if it has 3 or more confirmations, go ahead and pull the trigger. We're all about execution over analysis here, right? We're always analyzing the charts consistently, right? I want you guys to understand that me, Abel, and Skaggs, we have not taken a day off the charts in years. And guess what? We haven't taken a day off these live streams in months as well. So we're always analyzing. We're always consistently looking at the charts, consistently analyze, not always consistently executing, but consistently analyzing, consistently monitoring, right? And when that entry opportunity presents itself, we're always going to execute as long as it has our confirmations and it follows our plan. Right now, if it doesn't follow our plan, or if it's something on a low time frame, 5-minute, maybe it doesn't meet our risk to reward plan, I feel like if your mind frame is all out of the place when you're seeing entries, is maybe because you're risking too much or you're not sure what your exact plan is when you're entering the market. Like you should know, once you enter this trade, how much profit you're going to take partials at, and how much profit you're going to close out fully at, right? And even what you're going to close out at a loss at. Those are 3 things you should know before you enter a trade.
Yeah, actually, Kyle, real quick, because you're saying that, let me just give you guys, because what he's saying is important, and I have like a visual example on literally on the screen right now, right? So like these trades that we took on Friday, that some of you guys that are still in. Right, you see how I was targeting this liquidity up here? We had this liquidity build up. That's why I have this little check mark. Is because now we've moved past it. Right, that's how I mark on my charts. It's very basic for me to explain to people. The little hourglass is where we're looking for price to eventually come back to, and the check marks are when price actually passes through them, right? So it just means achieved. This just means like loading. Is like the way I really look at it. Just kind of makes it super simple for me. But once we break this liquidity and I get that first check mark, that's where I take like 30 to 50% of my position. Like I know that's a part of my trading plan. Like with the first time, anytime I enter a new position, when I get that first break of structure, right, that first liquidity grab on the same time frame that I'm entering on, by the way, because this is a 4 hour, like ultimately this is like a 4 hour entry for me. So I'm targeting the first, and some people would consider this the first, to be fair. Some people would be like, oh, well, it broke here. And like, okay, like fair enough. But again, like I was also had like the inefficient price action here. And so I picked a little further of an area, again, I'm greedy, so be it. But again, that's part of my plan. Like I take 30% there and then we adjust. So what Kyle was saying, like going into a trade, knowing exactly where you're going to enter, exit, like having that all predetermined is key. Far too many times, and like Kyle and Abel could like confirm this. Like I'm sure you guys get tons of DMs. People DM me, they're like, "Oh, I caught this entry. Where should I exit?" And I'm like, "Why are you asking me? Like you you should have already had this defined. Like it's not my trade. You don't. I can't give you an exit on your trade because I don't even know what your full thought process was. So yeah, if you're only planning one side of your trade, you're making big mistakes.
100%. Let me actually just add something on that as well, guys, because
Absolutely.
I think that's what people are completely misunderstanding when it comes to trading. The exit is far more important, guys, than your actual entry point. And I fully stand by that, right? And I mean, we can even correlate that to just business standpoint as well, guys, right? Any real entrepreneur that launches a business, they always have an exit plan in mind, no matter what their business is, no matter how confident they are, right? They always have a exit. You got to have an exit, right? And the same thing with trading. You really have to understand, guys, exactly where you are going to exit this market. Don't just focus on entry. Don't get hyper focused on entry and completely forget about the exits. I always know where my exits are going to be at, probably even more so of where I'm actually going to be entering at, right? Because when I'm entering around certain zones, certain areas, right? It's never going to be an exact price point, especially if price is not even near that area just yet. But I always know where my exits are going to be, because I understand the importance of exits as a whole, guys, right? So do not sleep on exits. If you do not have your exit in place before you enter that trade, then you already lost. And that's just a fact, right? So I just want to go ahead and drop some gems on that.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I'm right there with you. Speaking of which, you got any entries, exits that we could look at this week?
I mean, I don't really got too much too crazy, but I was actually interested in actually showing you guys what I think USD CAD is gonna do right now. I know my guy Kyle over here is King USD CAD, but I was actually analyzing it as he's talking about, right? And I'm like, man, there are a couple of plays here that I think might actually end up playing out, right? And it's gonna be a very simple concept, guys, that I'm gonna show y'all right here with USD CAD. Because the way that I pretty much structured this, right? And again, you guys can see it on the screen, is I'm going to be trading from liquidity pocket to liquidity pocket to liquidity pocket, right? I mean, I think that's really probably going to be one of my biggest things that I start to teach on, especially inside of the Profit Society once we fully launch. It's going to be just teaching you guys how to identify where the liquidity pockets are so you can take advantage of them. And again, this is just my opinions on what I think can actually happen, right? So I'm looking at USD CAD, and again, it's not to go against what Kyle said, anything like that, but I'm just looking at it from more of a, okay, where can we expect some reactions from in this market, right? Where is there going to be a ton of liquidity that was built up that can give us an area for either the sellers to go ahead and start taking profit from these, sell positions up here at these highs, or it could be an area where, the buyers are now going to start to come in and demand the markets. Right. So what I actually think can happen here for USD CAD, guys, and again, I could be completely wrong, right? Because this thing could very well just go ahead and break through this little short-term internal liquidity pocket. But I would not be surprised at all if we actually come down into this level around the 1.33, right? Below 1.33 inside of this pocket right here. And we actually see the market start to rebound, right? Because we do have, again, a lot of liquidity, guys, right above these highs here at 1.345. That I still think is going to want to get target, right? Especially with all this inefficient price action, imbalances, whatever the hell you want to call it. I think we're still going to want to go ahead and capture some of this imbalance, guys, and close some of this inefficient price action before we actually go ahead and make the next leg lower, right? So that's just the first thing that I was thinking about. And the next thing that I'm thinking about as well is like, all right, cool. If we are going to go ahead and push higher, right, and possibly grab this liquidity, yeah, there's actually a very good chance that this thing does just turn around and go back lower. But I also would bet that there's a good possibility as well that we even go ahead and streak all the way up to the 1.37 level, right? Because we have this high up here, this extreme high point, guys, that initially really sent us pretty much, in that actual correction that we just seen, right? Because if we really go back all the way to September, we had this massive run up, right? And then the market itself just started to accumulate sideways, right? We ended up building all of this structure, but it was this extreme high right here, guys, that initially ended up really breaking the structure point and actually gave us a much deeper correction. And yeah, we had a couple spikes up into this area, but I don't think that that's convincing enough for me to really think that that's just going to continuously hold, right? This liquidity pocket, guys, is very much well there. And I think that that's going to be an area that price could want to target before we actually see this next leg down. So my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised. And it's probably what I'm going to be looking for is I'm going to be looking to see if we can find some demand down near the 1.33 level, right? Or probably below the 1.33, probably closer to 1.327, 1.328. And if we are able to go ahead and find some demand, then I'm going to go ahead and target, guys, at the very least above this 1.34. But realistically, and this might be a little bit more aggressive, but I would love to see price really make its way back up to this 1.37. And then from there, once we truly run these highs, right, not just these little short-term little breaks right here, right, I want to see like an actual nice grab of liquidity back up into this last bullish candlestick before the market shifted. And then we see price go ahead and actually, go back into the order flow, which I believe is going to be bearish. And then we can go ahead and possibly target, guys, into this area of liquidity all the way down here, which was the exact same area that that Kyle said he wanted to target at as well, right on the lower end, right? It was down here at this 1.30 level. So I wouldn't be surprised, and this is what I'm personally going to be preparing myself for, is to take advantage of more so something like this, all right? We'll be coming to this liquidity pocket down here. It actually pushes us up. We actually get a lot of demand or a lot of profit taken from the sellers into this demand pocket, push us up into here, and then from there we can go ahead and potentially start, targeting much lower, right? And if we actually go to a little bit of a higher time frame as well, guys, right? I mean, this thing is looking prime to actually go ahead and continue dropping long term, right? Because if we really look at this thing from even a bigger perspective, right? I mean, we've been in a range, guys, for UCAD since 2015, right? So we've been in this massive range for so long, right? For past 7-8 years now. I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe just based off regular structure, right? We had this very strong high up here, and then we had a massive shift to the downside, right? We had a break of structure right here. Matter of fact, that's more so break of structure right here. This is what I would consider more of a market structure shift that's now changing the overall order flow. And this whole sequence right here, in my opinion, is more of just a pullback of what we can initially possibly expect. All right. So when you look at from the bigger perspective, I do like the downside for USD CAD, right? I do like the selling opportunities long term for USD CAD. So if I am able to get an entry, again, this is all about right? If price is able to come up here to this 1.37, again, I'm not sure 100% if it's going to get there. I'm not psychic, right? This is just more so what I believe can happen. But if it does happen, and if I am able to get a nice entry up here, I will most likely be trying to hold this thing, right? And I say trying because, I don't have the patience to hold things for super, super long, right? I haven't developed that type of discipline yet to hold things for like months like that boy Skaggs does. But if I can get myself a nice entry, I'm definitely going to attempt to really ride this thing down, guys, at the very least back down to this 1.19 so that we can go ahead and capture all of this sell side liquidity that we probably have built up right around this low right here. All right. So I don't know. That's what I'm looking at. I think for me personally, I'm going to try to take some shots at it. I'm going to take some jabs if it does set up going into this week. The obvious thing that I'm going to be looking for this week is to see how this, supply or this demand zone, guys, down here actually plays out. Again, price could very easily run right through this, right? Because, Kyle did say that there is a lot of selling pressure right now. So this could very well just go right through this entire thing and just continue dropping all the way down into this lower level. But for me, I'm going to be looking to see how we play off of this area down here, right? Especially specifically below this 1.329 level, 1.33. Like I want to see the market spike right below this level right here, right at the top of the liquidity pocket. And then we find demand, and then that can go ahead and give me an opportunity to go bullish, right? So that's probably one of the most attractive ones that I'm looking at right now. Especially with USD CAD. And I don't normally even trade USD CAD that often. I don't know, but it just stands out to me. It looks very, very juicy in my opinion. All right. So, I mean, that's one I'm gonna be keeping my eyes on, see how that plays out. USD JPY as well. This used to be my baby, right? Like this used to be one of my favorite pairs, guys, like 3-4 years ago. Like I used to live or die by USD JPY, right? I used to trade only USD JPY, GBP JPY, Euro USD. Like those were my go-tos back in the day, right? But even with USD JPY, I'm very interested to see what we can actually get from this, right? Because again, just like Skaggs mentioned, we do have some yen news coming up this week. So I want to see how we actually play off of this 126 level, right? Because I think that this can be an area, guys, or an opportunity where if we are able to go ahead and break that 126 and we're able to go ahead and rebound back above price, then we can potentially see, guys, some more upside up here. Now, again, it might be a little not necessarily, right? But I would not be surprised if we do see some demand enter the markets below this 126 level, right? And if we are able to get some demand to come into the markets, guys, I mean, I think we have a lot of different opportunities to capture liquidity all the way back up to this 143 level, right? This entire area right here, like this entire range right here, I think can ultimately truly get collected, right? Because all these previous lower high points, guys, like there's a lot of liquidity here, right? There's still even a lot of little imbalances, inefficient price action all throughout these little push to the downsides, right? So in my opinion, there's a ton of liquidity just built up right here that still wants to get collected, right? So what I'm going to be looking for is I want to see a sweep below this 126 level. If we're able to go ahead and sweep below 126, and then see a rebound back above 126, I will be actively looking for some buy positions, and I'm going to be targeting this level. I'm going to be targeting this level. I'm going to be targeting this level, right? I'm ultimately going to be targeting all of these levels right here, guys, as areas that have possibly built up a ton of liquidity over the past. And these are the things that I want to go ahead and potentially target, guys, on the way to the upside, right? So I don't know. Those are probably going to be the ones that I'm going to be focused on this week. Euro USD, in my opinion, I have an idea of what I think I wanted to do, all right, where I think I'm leaning towards this thing potentially pulling back, but it's at an area, guys, where there's so much momentum to the upside. I don't feel comfortable really shorting just yet Euro USD, but I also do not feel comfortable buying at these levels, right? I think we're very, very overextended here, in my opinion. So I do not feel comfortable buying up here, but I also really need to see a little bit more evidence that we're getting ready to go ahead and short, which is why I'm not going to be probably trading Euro USD, at least at the start of the week. I'm going to let that go ahead and play out, create some more structure, and then I'll go ahead and take advantage of it if there is something that presents itself. So for me, my go-tos this week are probably going to be UJ, USD CAD, see how those play out. And yeah, I'll take advantage of those. I haven't even looked at gold personally. All right, gold is just flying too, right? So even gold is at a similar thing like with Euro USD, right? Like I really like logically, this thing could very well just continue because we have so much momentum. But in my mind, I'm thinking like, man, this is already way too high for me to want to go ahead and start to add buy positions. It's way too high. So I would need to start to see some type of evidence, right? Showing that, all right, cool. Now we're about to get ready to start to see the market reverse. Because once we do start to see some selling pressure, guys, if we ever do see it, again, this thing could very well continue. If we ever do see it, though, I think there's a good chance that we see gold come all the way back below this 1730 level, right? And that's a pretty decent move away, right? So, but again, I'm going to be sitting on my hands with gold. I need a little bit more data, a little bit more structure to be formed in order for me to go ahead and make a decision on that, right? So again, the only ones that I'm really going to be focused on is going to be either USD JPY or USD CAD going into this week.
Yeah, I mean, your gold there, I pretty much agree with. I mean, I'll be honest, guys. I'm pretty bullish gold. I think like more realistically than like that pullback, you probably will just go break the highs at whatever it is there, 2000 and whatever, 75, 100, 2100. Yeah, I mean, realistically, like this looks like UJ, but like early, and it's like if you go to UJ and you look at it on the daily, like when it had its like crazy run, yeah, go even more. Like I look at it in this like in the same way that it is like in this kind of area. Like you can get that kind of buying pressure,
Yeah.
even before like 2022, like early 2021. I think gold is, I don't know. If you guys look at those monthly highs, the double top highs, I'm pretty confident that it breaks. Do I have my analysis? I do. Look, this is, hold on, I'll switch my screen. So like I do believe, like Abel believes, there is a possibility here that we do fade off. Right, I kind of shared this with you guys. I'm even gonna go on the weekly because that's kind of more the way that I'm looking. Yeah, but for me, like again, we could potentially fade off in this area. There's like, you know, what some people call weekly institutional candles. For me, again, this is not a valid enough order block. I know it's got the structure that people like. Again, it might warrant a reaction, but there's a lot of other reasons to be looking at potential shorts coming back down, just like this 1800 level maybe. But ultimately, you know, again, we'll see if we get this pullback. But ultimately, the idea is that we push above even these highs.
Yeah, I can see that as well. It's just again, gold is at an area where it's just like it's tough for me to try to play a position.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't be looking to buy. I mean, like, yeah, realistically, we all need this pullback to 1800 to add more. I mean, it's tough to play up here. But if you look at it like this again, the way this acts on the weekly, sometimes you just got to accept the fact that that's what you're gonna get.
That's a fact.
You know, like I'll tell you where we are at on gold. We're like right here on gold. So it's like you might even have to be super patient because like it might do something like this where it pushes and like really plays with like the highs a little bit more. Like watch, the easiest way to do this sometimes is to just color code things, right? So like this red line, like this pocket and this move is basically what we're seeing on like this, where, you know, this is going to be your red line and this is going to be your red line. So it's like we might squeeze like up into here and then get like that pullback, right? Basically back to right where we are. And then it's just going to go, you know, parabolic. In the same case, you know, you get that one last little look. So it's a concept that I teach called compression. So it's like that's kind of where we are. And then once you clear these highs, it's just you're just going to run and run and run and run. And I think gold has that type of potential. I don't know. I look at this weekly and I find it hard to believe that you build up this much liquidity, you swipe this much liquidity, and then you take off like this, that you ever get a nice pullback. All right, it's we'll put it this way: like markets. Here's the truth about markets, right? 80% of the time, markets usually range, right? And 20% of the time, you know, they actually what we call like run, right? So you either like stuck range bound or you're like actually running through like highs, like right, like UJ was in a period where it was just running. There is nothing else happening here. Like once it was ready, it ran, and it ran for a lot. You know, I mean, well, you know what they call 40%, but 40% in the Forex markets is like nuts. You know, so it's like, but look how much it was stuck in a range before that. Right, so it's like 80% of the time it's doing this, which is like essentially nothing. Like, yeah, it's a pretty big range. Yeah, there's a lot of nice, you know, daily, you know, intraday stuff. There's always, you know, more intraday stuff than anything, but it really doesn't even do too much most weeks. And then 20% of the time it's gonna run really hard. And gold has just been in that period where it's like it hasn't been running. Right, like really on the weekly, like really this is more range bound. This is more like reaccumulation. Like, I mean, if you're looking at this from like Wyckoff terms, like you have an accumulation down here, here's your markup, and like now we're just subcycling out reaccumulation. Like this is like a moderate like breakout too. Like realistically, this is, you know, has a potential for like 3K. So I mean, you might call it like tinfoil hat analysis, but that's just what I see. And Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, I'm happy this is on YouTube, so I'll come back in a couple months and we'll see whether I was crazy or not. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a fact.
that's what I see, and I think this also the reason I bring this up too, bro, is because you were just talking about USD CAD, and like I agree with you, like you like the long term potential on like USD CAD or like this, right? Like that's the same idea. Like I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, there's a lot of liquidity, bro. I agree with you. Like if you can get like a nice short on this thing, I mean, this is kind of annoying because you kind of have this double top, but look, if you want me to blow your mind, this is just gold, but behind. So what's this gonna do? This is gonna come down, grab all of this liquidity. It's gonna form an accumulation, and it's gonna take off like gold was, right? This is just it's this the same cycle. Look, right? Accumulation, markup, and now you're in that sub cycle. But this is just weeks or months behind, and it's also inverse to gold,
Yeah,
right? Here you are on like USD CAD, right here. Here's the move you're waiting for. So
yeah,
yeah,
that'd be
that's
cool.
how I look at the market in a macro.
Hmm. I'm with you. That's what I'm saying. It looks interesting. I'm definitely gonna be taking some jabs at USD CAD for sure this week, and I really want to grab a nice entry on gold though, because even that little retracement back down is still a nice move.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm gonna be stalking this too because that pullback to 1800. I mean, you talk, yeah, it's a lot of pips. Yeah, no, it's gonna be real nice. Like once this tops out, like eventually, I mean, you could maybe even make the argument, like some of my degenerate students probably, um, would be looking at this and like this is like potentially a live OB forming in this liquidity. Like if you wanted to really be reckless going into the bank holiday, like I would just go short on this right now at a stop right at the high. I mean, you can if you want to even give this a little bit more room, just because again, like the risk to reward you'd be targeting on this. I mean, just for first targets, happy with this at the most, which is a 1 to 4. But at that point, you might as well just swing for the pullback, and that would just be my very simple setup, and that's all I would take all week on gold. It's like now or never on Sunday. Tomorrow's a bank holiday, but that might mean that this falls into a range, but like maybe the range forms down here, and then maybe you get something like this, but you still get the best price of the week.
Yeah, I see it for sure.
It's just if you want to be a little bit of a spicy degenerate, I'm
I
just letting
think
you guys know that's that's how I would interpret the market right now.
I think I'm gonna be a degenerate. I ain't gonna lie.
I mean, listen, it's like 85, 90% failure rate. As long as you're willing to accept that, and again, you don't put like 1% risk on this, 2% risk. You put 0.15, 0.25%,
Mm-hmm.
and if you can pull, I don't know, even like the 1 to 4, even making 1% off of it, if you just exited down here, that'd be fine too.
Yeah, I would be a degenerate. I'm gonna risk half of a
Yeah,
percent just
you want me to
cause.
go in with you? I'll go in.
I mean, hey, I'm risking half of a percent just because again, everything you did say, we did just
I
clear some highs,
mean,
man.
I'm just hedging my position. I'm already in it, so I might as well just hedge it.
I mean, I
See
see,
what
because
happens.
the only reason why I think it looks good too, because we did just clear some highs. We do have lower buy volume showing as well, at least from what I'm seeing on the MACD. I like it.
I can confirm that here. Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
there's virtually no volume, but yeah, when we just pushed up, there was even less.
hmm yeah. So
And so first off, if you're gonna look at this as a live OB, this is also perfect because if you look at the two candles, this pushed up higher on low volume, and then the sell candle also had more. Excuse me, also had higher volume.
mhm. I'll throw half of a percent on that thing. Call it a
Yeah,
day.
I'm with you. I hedged my position, but I also added risk. So actually, I have risk exposure to the sell side now.
Nice,
See what that
nice.
works out as. But family in the chat, how you guys doing?
Let me see. I know Jude said he wanted me to look at over at EA, so put it back on my screen real quick because I think I might
Yep,
have
I
some
got
for
you.
my guy Jude. All right, so what I'm looking at Jude, again, I just tracked price in between two areas that I believe are liquidity pockets. Again, and we Euro AUD, I think we're probably going to end up seeing this thing probably push up higher, in my opinion. And then we could possibly look for this thing to push back lower down into this 1.53 level. Now I'm just looking at this thing from a bigger time frame, and I can see that Euro AUD itself. I mean, we just seen a pretty decent reaction, guys, out of this mitigation zone that we have up here, right? We pretty much came price mitigated this entire push up, right? All this 2-day bullishness that we just seen, right? Before the market completely took a big dump. We ended up getting back into that area, right? And we mitigated back into that zone, and we seen a little decent reaction, right? Nothing too crazy, but it did push us back lower, below this 1.566 level, which is very interesting structure point for me. So what I think can actually happen, right? And what I would be looking for personally, if I was to take an opportunity for this, it will probably be looking for some type of sell opportunity, guys, up in this liquidity pocket, right? And the pocket itself may actually be probably even a little bit higher, probably up here around this 1.569 level. So if I'm able to see price come up to this 1.569, I would definitely be comfortable risking a good 1% on this trade, right? Maybe up here, right in this area, see if we can get a nice little reaction off of that. And now I'm only going to be targeting right back down into this lower liquidity pocket down here. But that would be something that I would be comfortable taking. All right. So that's just me though. All right. I mean, let me know what's your thought process, Jude, because I know you've been destroying Euro AUD for the past couple months. All right. But so what is your thought process? Did you sign the markup anywhere? Because I know normally you'd be dropping those markups as well, right? But for me, if I was to take it, I would want to see some selling pressure enter the market up at this 1.569, personally speaking, and then target down here. And that's not a bad trade neither. I mean, look at the risk reward, right? We're talking about a 6.5 to 1, right? So if you are risking 1%, you're able to make 6% gain, 6.5% off this one position, right? If you want to be a little bit riskier and risk 2%, now you're going to be making around 12%, right? For anybody that does funded accounts, you're going to be able to pass, your challenge, no matter what stage you're at, off of just one trade, if this one does actually play out while only risking that 2%, right? So I think it looks juicy. The reason why I think that we're going to push up higher though before anything is because I just see this level right here, guys, as a level that's just been accumulating so many orders have been building up here, right? So many orders been building up right here, right? So I want to see the market really run that more than anything. Go ahead and capture all this money, all these stop losses, and then from there, give us an opportunity to go short. All right. So that's what I think. I think it looks really juicy in my opinion, for sure. Right. So that's my play here on EA. That is my play on EA. Let's see what else you guys are talking about. Euro JPY. Anyone go over the Dixie? Yeah, they actually did go over the dollar index itself. I think Kyle had went over it. But the dollar is just at a very interesting level, right? I'm not going to get too in depth with this because, I mean, it is what it is. We've been very bearish lately. But just like a lot of the other things, guys, right? I think we're getting to a point now where this is probably getting super extended, right? So what I personally would want to see now is us go ahead and clear these lows at this 101.3 level. If we're able to clear these lows for the dollar, I think we could find some demand to enter back into the markets at that point. And if we do get some demand in, I mean, we're going to be able to target this level right here at 105.70, but then even possibly target all the way up here just so we can go ahead and start to balance out this market. This market, guys, again, has been selling off since November, right? So it's been selling off for the past 2 months, 2.5 months. There's eventually going to be some type of rebalancing period, right? And that's what I think can actually happen. I don't know if it's going to happen this week, depending on how we actually move this week, right? But I think we will start to see that rebalance occur once we clear this 101.2 level. And if we're able to find some demand, then I'll go ahead and possibly target right back up into these levels to then possibly even continue this possibly even lower at that point, right? So that's what I will be looking here on the dollar, in my opinion, right? Obviously, everything's opinion based, but that's my opinion. That's what I think can actually happen for the dollar itself, all right? But it's definitely not something that I'm going to be trying to get too heavy into this week. Obviously, I am trading USDJ or USDJPY and US CAD are probably going to be my go-tos, but yeah, I'm going to be mindful of what the dollar's actually doing the entire time. Let's see. They say Euro JPY. Yeah, we could take a quick look at that as well. So Euro JPY, guys, has been selling off for the past couple of days, but this is also something that, again, I think these equal highs, guys, are just, I mean, these look so obvious, right, that are probably going to go ahead and get targeted. All right. So even though we have been selling off, right, very aggressively from these highs, I would not be surprised. All right. If once we go ahead and capture these equal lows, I mean, we have equal highs and equal lows everywhere in here. All right. But if we do something like this, I wouldn't be surprised that we find some demand enter back into the market, push us right back up above this level now. All right. Because again, the market, guys, it always goes through liquidity phases, right? Where it's always capturing liquidities from both sides before the next major move actually occurs. So I wouldn't be surprised if we actually go ahead and sell off a little bit more, just continue this selling pressure, break this 137.3 level, capture some liquidity to the downside, and then we find some demand, push us all the way back up to the 145, right? And then, from there, you never know, right? Possibly go ahead and continue to the downside, right? Especially depending on what happens with the Bank of Japan and their policies coming up this week. I think that's something that's actually very possible to occur. I mean, we've been very, very range bound and very, very sideways here, guys, for Euro JPY all the way since September. All right, literally. So it's been like 6-7 months now that we've been just ranging inside of this entire zone right here, right? So that's been a pretty long period of time. I think now we're going to get to this point where we could start to see some liquidity grabbing phases occur and then ultimately see that major breakout. Because whenever we do break out of this, I think it's going to be super aggressive in one direction or the other, whichever way it decides to go. But that's what I'll be looking for Euro JPY. Looking for this thing to continue until we get below this 137, and then I'll go ahead and just watch the reaction off of what we do down there. All right. If we actually find some demand and we come back above 137.4, like if we do something like this and then price brings us back above it, then at that point, I'll probably be going ahead and targeting to capture liquidity above here. All right. So that's what I'm looking here for Euro JPY, Mohammed. Hopefully it, gave you some clarity as to what I personally would be looking for that. Do you guys look at SPX? I mean, yeah, we take a look at the indices. I know for the most part, we focus mainly on NAS. I know that's what Skaggs focuses on. He's the reason why I'm actually focusing on it a lot as well. It's just, so I like to just stick with that, right? So with the indices as well, guys, it's very interesting to see where we're at personally. I think that we could see, in my opinion, I think that we actually could see this thing, guys, at least come up a little bit higher. I would love to see how price reacts up here, right, around this 12,750 level, right? And it possibly could even reach all the way to the high levels up here to the extreme points. But I think for right now, I don't know. For some reason, I think we could experience some bullishness enter this market throughout this week here for the indices. And again, I could be completely wrong, right? And I have no problem with being wrong, because if I'm wrong, I'm able to adjust, right? But I think that we're going to be able to stay above this 11,300 level and then go ahead and start targeting higher pricing, in my opinion, of course, right? But that's just me, all right? I don't know if Skaggs has anything different. I would definitely love to hear his opinion if he does, but I do see that we do have some potential liquidity even down here. So, I mean, it could even do something like this, right? Or this thing could just potentially drop, right? I haven't really been focusing too much on NAS lately, but, there's definitely a couple different plays that we could play off of this.
I mean, yeah, when it comes to NASDAQ, guys, it's again, we're still holding our long positions. We have no reason to really expect a pullback until some sort of market structure shift. If I just take a look at it on my screen, if I just highlight again, there's been no reason, other than what happened here, where we kind of dipped below this liquidity. But again, we kind of expected that, and I still expected it to come back even a second time. It just never did. But ever since here, again, we're just creating every pullback again, even something like this, very aggressive, but this is not structure here, right? Because this is not a worthwhile pullback, right? This is a structure point. Even this pulled back, that little bit of a move. You would even argue this is not even a major structure point. Really, this is the only low that really matters. This is a kind of in in range area of liquidity, kind of in this area of the compression. We identify that, but it's still not main market structure. So at no point has any significant pullback, even this pullback. It's there's no selling pressure anywhere inside of here that's been noteworthy, right? Not at all. Especially after the news, when you get a news move like this that immediately recovers, I mean, more times than not, it's going to continue to absorb and continue. So, the real question is like we just look left to see where like other areas of liquidity may live. Maybe we continue to push up above here and we fade off. Eventually we'll get some sort of fade off that will warrant that. Other than that, we continue to hold these longs. Even if I wanted to enter into this market and look for potential trades, I'm really not interested in looking at anything on this unless, again, it were to pull back to at least, down here. 'Cause again, I'm looking for at least a worthwhile pullback. But I would say, again, question, even if we took out this low, it's like, okay, then what's the chance that, these things hold? Right? So, again, until I see some sort of reaction that actually gives me, a heavy sell volume and actually break structure, there's just no trade for me on this. It's the same reason I'm looking at EU and gold for the matter. It's like these haven't given any sort of sell signal, and these are not buying environments for me. I'm already in all my buys. So, yeah, NASDAQ just remains the same. We just need more data. If you wanted to trade it, what's up, Abel?
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah, I wouldn't even touch it here. I mean, like, I know we just took this short on gold. That's kind of like a joke, but it is working out. Not even a joke. I mean, it's just like it's a high-risk trade. I call it a joke because it's just easier to cope with the inevitable loss that I feel is coming here. But NASDAQ doesn't even produce anything like that, Like you could say maybe you took out these highs. If it gets back below here, maybe you could say, this is like a mini distribution, but the truth is there's just no volume in the market right now. And you're not going to have any market tomorrow because the markets are closed. So it's like, what's the future of this? Like this? Just really choppy, just like nonsense for like the next day. So it's probably not even worth playing. Come back on Tuesday. With that being said, that's all I really have. Guys, we did go over the DXY. 3 of us went over the DXY. So you guys... the replay will be up as soon as we get off. You guys can kind of skim through, and you will be able to see all of that stuff as well. Abel, Kyle, you guys have anything final? Abel, you want to talk about Friday maybe?
I mean, Friday is going to be exciting, guys. Again, if you guys have not registered just yet for Friday's call, I mean, I highly recommend you guys to do it. We're doing a whole masterclass, right? That's really going to go in depth, guys, giving you guys a lot of real value that should help you guys definitely get better at trading, especially with, me and Ray as a combo, like a 1-2 punch. Every time me and him do a 1-2 punch type of combination going back and forth, guys, I mean, the value is immense, right? Like it's a boatload of value. So again, I highly recommend you guys, if you guys are not registered just yet, go ahead and register. It's a free call. It's a free workshop, right? A free masterclass, right? You're not charged to actually join us, but I promise you the value that you get from it can absolutely go ahead and help you out in your trading. All right, so definitely go ahead and register if you guys have not done so just yet. We will be live this entire week, guys, or at least Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on YouTube. Once again, providing you guys with massive value leading up into Friday's call. So definitely be on the lookout. Jump on every single call, guys, that we offer this week. And yeah, let's just go ahead and turn up. But that's pretty much all I got to say.
That sounds good. Family, you guys heard the man. I dropped the link in the chat for you. You guys know we will be live again Tuesday morning, about 8:30 in the morning. Keep an eye on the Telegrams, the Discords. We will see you guys then and there. This is your boy Skag on behalf of Profit Society, and we're tuning out.